If you are ready to turn in your end-of-lease car to a local car dealership, watch this short video until the end. It could put found cash in your pocket and get rid of the hassle of turning in your vehicle at the same time. Take a look at this. This is my lease agreement, and it shows that I can buy out my vehicle at any time. Why should I care? Let me explain. Here's the deal. The buyout amount is calculated by adding three numbers. The residual value, this is the buyout amount found on our lease agreement. It is also the exact same price as the residual value. We add what remaining payments we owe, and finally we add the disposition fee. So the first day we get into a new lease vehicle, we owe the most. But as we make payment after payment, our buyout amount decreases as our remaining lease payments decreases. About halfway through our lease, our buyout amount remains on the high side, again because of all the payments we have remaining. And once we make the payments in the end, our buyout amount is the residual value plus the disposition fee. Keeping an eye on this number as we come close to turning in our end-of-lease vehicle can put some serious cash in our pocket, because once our buyout amount is higher than the vehicle's market value, we get paid the difference, even though we do not own the lease. We can flip our end-of-lease vehicle and cash out for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Yep, the car industry hides this method from us. It is a secret that takes away roughly $9,000 and extra profit from the car dealership who takes in our car at lease end. Car dealers do not like missing out on $9,000 of easy money, so they keep this a big secret from us. Now, here in the USA, we all sign what is known as close-end leases. These types of leases give us the option to buy out our lease car and void out the lease agreement. We can buy it out at any time and sell back our vehicle to the car industry for an instant profit. Even better, we get to skip paying that $350 plus disposition fee, which comes due 30 days after we turn in our vehicle. The flip is a car industry secret we're not supposed to know about. And this is why I love exposing it to anyone who will listen. Let me explain. There are 4 basic ways to handle our end-of-lease situation. We can turn in the vehicle and walk away, trade in the vehicle and get into a new lease, extend the lease up to 6 months, sometimes 12 months, or buy out the lease if we are significantly over the mileage allotment. But there is a 5th option. We can flip our vehicle for hundreds to thousands of dollars. It is an option no car dealership wants us to find out about. The secret is we can buy out our end-of-lease vehicle and flip it for an instant profit. Hundreds to thousands of dollars in profit. Now, before I explain how this all works, you're probably wondering who I am. I am the editor and publisher of this leasing blog. Back in 2015, I got ripped off by the car industry in a big way. In fact, every time I got into a new car, I wound up getting ripped off for thousands of dollars. And I decided I would never get fleeced at a car dealership ever again. So I created this website to master the art of new car leasing. So far, I've answered over 2,000 help desk tickets. I have reviewed over 10,000 lease worksheets and draft lease agreements. And my biggest claim to fame came when I developed an at-home system that helps my clients get into new car leases at 30 to 50% less than what most people pay. Always zero cash down deals. So yes, I've become the go-to guy on all things about car leasing. Now, anyone here in the lower 48 can flip their end-of-lease vehicle for a profit. There are 3 main benefits of selling our end-of-lease car. Number 1, we get to rip up our lease agreement. 2, we have the freedom to shop for our next new lease without guilt. When we drop off our end-of-lease car, we are heavily guilted to stay loyal to the automaker's brand. But when we flip our car for a profit, a flatbed truck picks up a car at our home or office. Once the car is fastened to the tow truck, it goes into car heaven. We are no longer attached to our old vehicle, and the best part is we can now shop for a new lease car without the guilt of staying loyal to a local dealership. And number 3, we get paid for our lease equity. So why is this flip so secretive? There are 3 reasons. 1, car dealerships want us to turn in our car and move into a new car lease. Most car sellers lease us their cars at full price. This puts $6,000 to $12,000 of cash in their pocket. This is a huge mistake because we can lease the same car at 30% to 50% less than we can from leasing a car at our local dealership. 2, dealerships will buy out our car and flip it for a massive profit. As soon as we drive home with our new car, the dealership's used car manager will rush our cream puff into their detailing facility. They will put on a new set of tires, buff out the scratches, fix the dents, and sell the car on their used car lot. After selling our used car and upselling their customers into extended warranties and financing, this will bring in up to $8,000 in gross profit. And number 3, a flip can add over $20,000 to the dealer's bottom line. Remember, the dealership makes a gross profit of up to $12,000 when they lease us a new car. And when combined with up to $8,000 for them flipping our end-of-lease car, we can see why dealerships highly encourage us to trade in our old lease vehicle. Now, while flipping our vehicle is super cool and can be quite profitable, I have a few warnings and things to keep in mind. Warning number 1, flipping to the general public. We can buy out our end-of-lease vehicle at any time and sell it to anyone off the street. Most times, this is the most profitable way to flip our vehicle. However, some people do not like dealing with the general public. Also, some states require we can only flip our car once we possess the title of the car. This means we have to pay off the car first and then hope we can sell it for a profit. Paying off tens of thousands of dollars on the hope we can make hundreds or thousands is not a savvy strategy. Even worse, we might not be able to flip it for a profit at all. Plus, we have to deal with the hassle of government DMV paperwork. The bottom line for me is I never flip my vehicle to the public, even though it is tempting because they pay us the most for flipping our vehicle. It is risky, it requires us to come up with tens of thousands of dollars to pay off the car, and there is no guarantee of a profit selling it to the general public. Yep, we could get stuck paying for our vehicle that we cannot flip for a profit. Warning number 2, flipping to a used car dealership. The next option is to sell our end-of-lease vehicle to a used car dealership. Dealerships will handle all the hassles of flipping our vehicle for us. And this seems great at first. They will pay off our buyout amount and they will issue us a check for our lease equity. But there are some problems flipping our vehicle at a used car dealership. We could travel all around town and get appraisals. And we can find a dealership with the highest appraisal and sell our end-of-lease vehicle to them. So far, so good. The problem is car dealerships are notoriously cheap. They almost never offer the best appraisal for our end-of-lease car. In fact, they often lowball us and make us insulting offers for our vehicle. They prey on those with limited knowledge and try to convince us our vehicle is worth thousands less than it really is. But I have better news. Instead of flipping our end-of-lease car to the general public or a car dealership, I have a better source. These are Wall Street funded third-party car buyers. There is a growing trend of internet-only car dealerships that sell off-leased used vehicles. They do not sell new cars. Instead, they only buy end-of-lease cars and flip them for a massive profit. Since they have no expensive retail locations, and since they have no sales staff, and all the selling is done online, they sell these 3-year-old cars on the internet with no haggle pricing at attractive prices. Most of these cars are purchased super quick, sometime in as little as a few hours. And these Wall Street funded internet-only car dealerships are flush with cash. Cash to pay us top dollar for our end-of-lease vehicles. In fact, it's not unusual to flip our vehicles for thousands of dollars to these internet car dealerships. And dealing with these internet-only car dealerships is a pleasure because everyone wins when we can flip our vehicles to these cash-rich internet car dealerships. They buy out our lease without the hassle of going to auto auctions or from greedy car dealerships. And they know we take care of our lease vehicles because we are responsible for mileage and damage penalties. So they get great cars that do not need much work and can be quickly flipped on their website for a handsome profit. As you might imagine, they are almost falling over themselves to court us and convince us to sell our end-of-lease vehicle to them. These days, flipping our end-of-lease vehicle could not be easier. We visit a few different websites that are approved in our state. Don't worry, I got you covered, and you can borrow my list that is sorted state by state. Next, we enter our end-of-lease vehicle's details, like the VIN, the mileage, and the condition of our vehicle. Finally, we get back an appraisal, usually the same day, without wasting hours and hours, all from the convenience of sitting on our couch or at our desk. The best strategy is to submit our appraisal request to as many of these internet car dealerships that serve our local area. Because in the end, one of these internet-only car dealerships will likely give us hundreds, even thousands more than the buyout price of our vehicle. The best part of this tactic is we don't need any cash to pay off our vehicle in order to flip our vehicle, because these Wall Street funded internet car dealerships have the cash to pay off our lease for us on our behalf. And a day or two after picking up our vehicle, we get a direct deposit or an overnight FedEx check for our lease equity. Again, this is hundreds, even thousands in cash. It has found money for us all because we turn the tables on those greedy car dealers. And there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. Even better, since the lease agreement is bought out, we never have to worry about damages or over the mileage penalties. And yes, that $350 plus disposition fee goes away too. This is why we never, ever want to go to a car dealership to trade in our lease or even lease a new car. We always want to do it all from our home or office. And my website shows you how. Warning number 3, this does not work for everyone. The not so good news is this flip tactic only works with roughly 50% of the people who try it with these Wall Street funded car dealerships. Why? Because some automakers add legalese to leases to protect their dealership franchise network. Again, when we flip our vehicle, we are paid hundreds to thousands of dollars for our lease equity. But in the past, car dealerships accepted our trade and cashed out our lease equity for themselves, never paying us a dime. And one big example, Ford forces us to write them in advance 90 days prior to when we were going to flip our vehicle to a third-party car buyer. And another example, people leasing with US Bank are blocked from flipping their vehicles, again with third-party car buyers. The good news is there are usually workarounds for all of these flipping roadblocks. In fact, here are all the possibilities to flip any vehicle that was sold here in the USA. I developed this interactive flip flow chart for my clients. My clients get access to this. They just click on each scenario and see their flipping options. Here is the punchline. I would not count on the flip. Instead, I consider the flip like finding a $100 bill in our pants after coming out of the wash. The flip is the ultimate leasing hedge because when done the right way, we can pocket hundreds to thousands of dollars getting rid of our end-of-lease vehicle. And the worst case scenario is we simply turn in our vehicle if we cannot flip it for a profit. Simple. Now, here is the most important section of this video. Most people make this mistake. They wait till the last minute to turn in their lease vehicle. Remember this chart? When we add the green line to this chart, we see the average market value in comparison to our lease's buyout amount. As we would expect, we are underwater. We owe more than what our vehicle is worth during most of the lease term. So flipping our vehicle is not an option. But at a certain point, we go from underwater to break even, then to lease equity. And this is great news for us. And here's where almost everyone makes the big mistake. They wait until the last minute to turn in their vehicle just when the lease equity vanishes. So when is the right time to flip our vehicle for the best chance to cash out our lease equity? It is precisely 115 days before our lease ends. Right here, it is a week after we make our fourth to last lease payment. And the longer we wait, the less we get for our lease equity. We do not want to delay. Delays cost us money. Every day that goes by and we delay, we will get less for our end-of-lease vehicle. But I would keep the flip in the back of my mind for now. Because once you become a client of mine, most people who watch this video do, I will give you access to my entire interactive flip tutorial. It gives you step-by-step details to flip any vehicle for a profit. But for now, I would obsess about the next car you lease because there is a heck of a lot more money at stake. Why? Because instead of making the mistake almost everyone makes and leasing a car at full price, my website, which you are watching this from now, shows you how to slash the cost of your next new car by at least 30% to 50% less than what we pay at our local car dealership. Look at the link below titled "Click here to see my most popular posts." This will take the over 2,000 help desk questions I've answered since Christmas of 2016 and show you the most relevant leasing tips. These tips feature a system I created that slashes the cost of any new car sold here in the USA by at least 30% to up to 50%. The only exception is Tesla. They do not sell their cars at traditional franchise dealerships. That is what I would do first, because slashing the cost of leasing a car by up to 50% saves us $6,000 to $12,000 on any new lease car offered here in the lower 48. Again, click on the link below this video to see all my new car leasing secrets.